Mercedes' difficult test in Bahrain last week raised suspicions among many of its Formula One rivals that the German manufacturer is playing games. After all, we've heard the same stories from Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton in recent years about the car underperforming, only for them to show up and destroy the competition. However, things may be different this time. So, without further ado, let's look at Mercedes' problems following the second pre-season test and what their competitors think. Mercedes has had a difficult week in Bahrain, with its W13 suffering from porpoising and proving difficult for both Hamilton and teammate George Russell. Hamilton is pessimistic about the team's immediate prospects because the team has yet to find a solution to its problems, with just 1 week until the season opener at the Sakir circuit. Hamilton responded on Saturday when asked if the situation had already raised concerns about his ability to compete for the championship. Obviously, it's a little bit too early to have those kind of thoughts, but at the moment, I don't think we'll be competing for wins. But there is a potential within our car to get us there. We just have to be able to extract it and fix some of the problems, which is what we're working on. While Mercedes' Bahrain struggles appear to be similar to the difficulties it faced in the test a year ago before turning things around to win the first race, Hamilton insists that the situation is far from a repeat. He believes that the fixes Mercedes will need to make to get them back on top of its car will require more than just setup changes. There's a lot different. It's not as good. I don't think we're going to make it look as good as we ever did last year with the difficult season we had in practice and then switch over to the race. I think we have far bigger challenges this time, and they are not 1 week turnarounds. I think they will take a little bit longer, but from what I'm told, we have a considerable amount of pace to find. First and foremost, whereas Mercedes simply could not find the right balance with the W12 in the test last year, the drivers and team are having a lot of difficulty extracting consistent pace this time around. Mercedes has yet to figure out how to fix the car's porpoising, which is significantly worse than that of key rivals Red Bull and Ferrari. This isn't just an issue at the end of the straights. When pushed to the limit, the floor touches the ground in some corners, which doesn't bode well for delivering consistent downforce. And despite the fact that the Mercedes W12 appeared dramatically different in Bahrain than it did in Barcelona, with its slim side pods leaving the paddock in awe on Thursday, they still face the same issues, according to new recruit George Russell. From the outside, it looks drastically different, but looks aren't everything, is what many people say. It's still the same fundamental car underneath its skin, and it still has the same fundamental issues that we faced in Barcelona. As I said, I think we probably optimised the performance a bit more in Barcelona than we did in Bahrain, but nevertheless, we are struggling to find out how to unlock a bit more. As it stands, Red Bull are looking incredibly strong, Ferrari are looking really solid, and we have some work to do. I don't think they are exceptional. I think we're probably not as competitive as we would like. And it was George Russell who said that the reigning Constructors' Champions have a lot of work to do if they want to compete at the front in 2022. I think it's been pretty productive, but very intriguing at the same time. Obviously, so much to learn about these 2022 cars with the tyres. It's pretty clear some of the issues that a lot of the team faced with the bouncing, just trying to get on top of that really. Yes, it's definitely bouncing around a lot from within. It's not the comfiest, in all honesty. I don't really care about comfort if the performance is there, but at the moment, the performance isn't there. We are a step behind our rivals, and we do have a lot of work to do between now and next week to understand, because in every condition, the Red Bull and the Ferrari seem a step ahead of us. But despite his dissatisfaction with Mercedes' initial competitiveness, Lewis Hamilton was the first to speak out in support of his team, saying he is confident the team will resolve the issues. Everyone's doing such an incredible job back at the factory, working as hard as they can. But we have some hurdles to overcome. Obviously, next week we'll get a much bigger showing of our pace, but I think people will be surprised maybe. People keep talking about us talking ourselves down, but it's a bit different this year. Russell also expressed his belief in the championship-winning team, stating that he is confident they will eventually raise their full potential ahead of the season-opening Bahrain Grand Prix on March the 18th. I believe the guys are going to get to the bottom of it. There is potential there. We just need to figure out a way to unlock that performance. Mercedes has just 1 week until the season-opening Bahrain Grand Prix, but its skepticism criticism has been mitigated by a number of drivers, including Ferrari's Carlos Sainz Jr., who said the team's comments were typical. Typical Mercedes, typical George, just hype up the others and then come to the first race and blow the competition away. If it would be the first year they've done it, then I would believe them, but they've done it 5 or 6 years now and they keep surprising us in the first race. As you can imagine, I don't believe much. We can see what they're doing on track, and I'm not going to say much. Verstappen was also sceptical that Mercedes was truly on the back foot, agreeing with Sainz that it always has been like this. If someone is doing well, or a team that everyone expects to do well, then it's, oh no, we're definitely not the favourite. And then a week later, when things do go well, all of a sudden it's, oh no, but we turned it around completely within a week. Not normal, unbelievable work, thanks to all the people in the factory. After all, as Verstappen pointed out, Mercedes was also concerned about its performance after testing in Bahrain last year, but they were still very strong during the first race weekend. When asked who he thought would be the biggest threats, Verstappen said Ferrari had been consistently fast. That shows that they clearly have a stable car at the moment. It just looks good for them. They have had very few problems as well. We'll see next week who is fastest. But so far, they have had a very good test. The last 2 years weren't great for them, so you automatically start looking at this season a bit earlier than some of the other teams. It's more than normal that they started earlier than us in the 2022 car, and that's okay as well. In the end, with these new cars, the development rate during the season is the most important thing. That sentiment is shared by rival Lewis Hamilton, who described the Italian team as probably the quickest. However, while Hamilton believes in his team's abilities, Mercedes has found itself in a bind in that the more downforce it has added to the car, as with the Bahrain test update, the more it pushes the car down, the worse the porpoising becomes, and there is no improvement in lap time. Mercedes may find that the stopgap measure it needs to reduce downforce to reduce the car being pushed down at high speeds in order to improve its lap time. Trackside engineer director Andrew Chauvelin stated that the team received positive feedback from its late test experiments, some of which included reducing downforce. We've made a bit of progress with the bouncing, which in turn has made the car less of a handful on the limit, and it also feels like we've made a step in the right direction with the setup today. There's still a lot of pace to come if we can make further gains on the bouncing and get the car more settled. But it isn't just the porpoising that's causing havoc. Car weight has become a major issue for teams this year, with only a few teams coming close to the minimum weight limit. The difference between cars on the grid is thought to be quite significant, with Alfa Romeo believed to be the lightest car on the market. The word on the pit lane is that the top 3 teams may also have significant differences, with Ferrari said to be significantly lighter than the heavy Mercedes. Given that 10 kilograms of weight is generally accepted in Formula 1 to be the equivalent of 0.3 seconds lap time, a few kilos difference in mass could be significant. AlphaTauri's Pierre Gasly took to the Sakir circuit on Saturday during the final round of testing to simulate a race scenario by battling Hamilton's Mercedes. Gasly shared his thoughts on the fight after the spirited mock battle. Safe to say, the Frenchman has low expectations for the Brackley-based team this season. I think the conclusion is Mercedes probably doesn't look as good as they were in the past. Despite Mercedes' current difficulties, the reality of its situation is not that it's stuck with an uncompetitive car and has no chance of catching up. Mercedes recognises the W13's potential and the downforce requirement to compete with the best at the front. It simply needs to find a way to unleash its strengths and run a lap without being hindered by the porpoising. The key is just how long it takes for it to find the answers they need. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to click the bell button to be notified of future videos. Please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you believe Mercedes is truly struggling or just sandbagging? Who do you think will be the fastest team ahead of the season opener? If what they say is true, we'd love to hear your thoughts.